Welcome aboard, welcome to another edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Show here at Fairway Hotel. My name is Andrew Irumba Katsabe, your speaker as usual, and tonight we are discussing a pandemic now. We are not giving that attention like we gave to Ebola, COVID-19 and so on recently. Ebola also started attracting much attention that is actually equivalent to a national pandemic. But I remember the most significant one is the COVID-19. Now, this is a pandemic that has been actually eating up the core values of society in Africa, and yet we give it very less attention. To the effect that even those that know that this habit is happening, I'm talking about LGBTQ, lesbianism, gayism, bisexual, and so on. Even those that know that this habit, which is inhuman, according to our African setting, the norms and cultures of Africa, it is inhuman. It is unheard of. But even those who practice them, and even those who have been actually aware that this is happening, those that are spreading it, they don't talk about it in public. How do we deal with this vice that is actually taking and destroying our society in Africa? Because I know this is not Africa. To start us off, I will invite Pastor Solomon Malay, who is the national leader for National Coalition Against Homosexuality and Sexual Abuses in Uganda. Pastor Malay invited him specifically to start us off because for the rest of the years that I've been following this matter, Malay has been at the forefront. He actually had a court battle with some of his former fellow pastors. I will not mention them, he knows them. That they even reached an extent of going to court. I have seen Pastor Malay actually offering support to some of the victims of this very vice. He has been actually helping most of them, and Pastor Martin Sempa, I remember those two. Maybe if the world, or if Uganda had joined these two that time, maybe today we would be talking about a different story. But most of us actually pretended that there was nothing happening, and now today it has actually eaten up the core of our society. That is the youth, and that is the generation that we expect to be our leaders tomorrow. If you are part of those people today, practicing such things, how would we now ensure or guarantee our future in your hands tomorrow when you come in as a leader? Because I am told you are the leaders of tomorrow, and that for sure, I also agree that you must actually be the leaders of today, not even tomorrow, because tomorrow is today.
I'm Moses Solomon Malay, lead the crusade against homosexuality and sexual abuses in this country under the National Coalition Against Homosexuality and Sexual Abuses in Uganda. I've been at the vanguard for the last over 25 years. 1977, while I was at Chambo College School, we used to have Father Maki, and we were sodomizing boys, paying for them school fees, yes. Father Maki, that was 1977, up to 1980 when I left Chambo College School. Chambo College School. He was sodomizing fellow students, whom he was sponsoring to study.
But you see, he's not here to defend himself, so let's go with
come on, I'm talking with authority.
But he's not here to defend himself.
I think he died.
Okay.
Do you want to tell me that the stories of Catholic priests sodomizing boys is new to you?
Who has done that now? I don't
In
know.
the US, many dioceses are struggling, paying victims. In Uganda, Father Musalo also accepts that he was sodomized by a father when he was in Kasasa. Father Musalo, when you put him on the spot, then he wrote a dossier to the Archbishop and his fellow ministers, and he said, am I the only sinner in heaven? At the age of 16, I think, or 17, I was also sodomized. He admitted he was sodomized, and for that he continues sodomizing. And his Mrs. Letitia in the gay community in Uganda. Father Musa, let it here. He's let it here. Because he's the bottom. Yeah, he's the bottom. And unfortunately, the media has taken him on as a celeb to talk to people. That is the rubbish we have in this country. Father Chizeyo had to flee from Kampala and he went back to Chindamitiana. He sodomized his sister's daughter, son, his sister's son. John Sentongo, the journalist who tried to investigate the story, was arrested, detained in Katwe. I went there and rescued him. Father Chizeyo fled. His fellow priests covered him. Brother Robert Mukasa sodomized the student in Smack. The father went with a gun to shoot the Brother Robert Mukasa. The priests, the brothers, coordinated with the cardinal. The cardinal notified His Excellency. His Excellency sent in Afande Kasinje. Afande Kasinje went, cooled the situation. Brother Robert Mukasa was transferred to Lubaga Boys. From Lubaga Boys, he did the same thing. Then he was transferred to Celtic Academy. That is my school. I went in, cleaned it up.
Celtic Academy.
Celtic Academy Makerere. I went in, cleaned it up. Did a seminar. I went and did a seminar there. Organized a seminar there. My friend, what I got, students confessing. There is one he sodomized and gave a phone. And that phone, if you call the boy, Brother Robert Mukasa would also tap you.
To listen.
To listen. You could not talk to the boy without the knowledge of Brother Robert Mukasa. I told them, if you want him, take him to the seminary, he sodomizes fellow priests.
Hey.
Yes, so they withdrew him, took him back to Chisubi, then finally, now I understand he's in the US. So homosexuality can also refer to sexual intercourse between a man and a woman, but in an unnatural way, where a man, instead of going through that very wonderful passage called vagina, chooses to turn to the rear and then penetrates it. Many women today are crying. Married women are crying. Husbands are sodomizing them. They have nowhere to turn to. They are silent. Some are quitting marriage. You see a beautiful woman quitting, and you wonder why she's quitting a married man loaded with cash, because the men have decided to become fools.
Yeah.
But what I want to tackle today is people are being sodomized, but then others are still going in.
Yeah.
And going in massively. Children, when you see videos floating now, young boys being sodomized even as young as 5. I've handled cases by way in court. Very many. I remember teacher Makande convicted, sentenced to 12 years for sodomizing his student.
Yeah.
There's a Sheikh Isabidi in Matuga. He's in Luzira for sodomizing 6 students.
But an inmate safe there is the way it is.
That's why I'm telling young people, don't commit offenses. You'll be taken there and you'll be sodomized. Because even prisons are now sodomy cells. There's teacher Isabidi, Pastor Ronald Isabidi, who sodomized 6 boys in Sisa. He was sentenced by his worship, Masaru Museveni, to 120 years in jail. 120 years. 20 years on each count. He's in Luzira.
He's going to live for how many years?
Whether 15, but he's going to serve it concurrently. Concurrently.
But 120 years. 120 years.
120 years.
That year, people have to live for 300 years.
No, I think it is concurrent. It is concurrent. It is concurrent. Now, there's a Shabash Muhammad, who sodomized Kasulu Sulaiman, sentenced to 10 years without remission in Luzira. We have Prince Mubiru was sentenced, then he was acquitted. The challenge we have is justice. When victims come up, many times they get victimized further. You remember, actually, when this has happened, and we are schools being involved, when they mentioned Budo, they mentioned, I say, but that is very little. There are many other cases. Let us not vilify schools. Schools are actually receiving something that they do not intend to have. The worst perpetrator of homosexuality are in our religious entities. That's why you hear Kazimba Mugalu fighting with the Anglican Church in England.
Religious entities. When actually Kazimba Mugalu is here fighting them.
I'll laugh.
Fighting them. The man of God fighting.
The Archbishop Kazimba Mugalu is telling the Britain, you be alone, we be here. But even without the Britain, Senyonyo is here recruiting Bishop Senyonyo. He was an Anglican priest. Although he was sent out He would usually go to St. Stephen in Bukoto and then talk to the young men and then recruit them. His organization is called St. Paul Peace and Reconciliation Center. That is Bishop Senyoni. He's in Uganda. Reverend
Free your mind now.
He's in Uganda.
Free your mind now.
Okay? Reverend Kasi was here. He used to be the chaplain of the Church of the Archbishop of Church of Uganda. He's the one who first went to Budo and recruited.
But do you have evidence on these allegations, Pastor?
Come on, I'm not a
Because I'm
fool.
calling them allegations.
Listen to me. I've been handling homosexuality for many years. I've handled very many victims. The worst perpetrators are in places of worship because these are untouchables. These are protected. They have state patronage. What are you talking?
But Pastor,
Pastor Grace Chitaka, the first victims I met who were willing to talk, belong to Pastor Chitaka. Isn't the church part of the perpetrators? In the UK, aren't they okaying homosexuality? And once the church obeys the laws of the land, then that is the problem. Church of England now okays homo marriages because England or Great Britain okays homo marriages. It cannot turn against its master. Who heads the Church of England? It's the king. It's the monarch. Who heads the Church of England? Can the church go against its master? No. King Henry never started the church to be independent. He started it to have an entity that he controls, that can always sanction what he wants to do, and then he uses it to control the masses. Full stop. Not that he was coming up with anything great about theology. No. Listen. When we launched the campaign against homosexuality, many years ago, I think I remember around 98, when I came back from Singapore. When I started talking about homosexuality, they said I was mad. Man, you must be mad. You talk about homosexuality, men selling themselves to fellow men, brothels where homos are. He said, no, money needs to be checked. And I remember when I got the first victims of homosexuality in Uganda, who were willing to talk, in 2006, that time, Honorable Nsaba Butulo was the Minister of Information. When you journalists approached him and told him about Pastor Male, who was saying a lot of weird things about pastors, then he said, I think Pastor Male needs to be checked. I hear he's mad. I hear he's mad. He needs to be checked.
I remember in his signature voice, you know how Museveni speaks.
Hey.
Yes, I remember his signature voice.
You remember him?
Hey.
Saying, Male, I hear he's mad. He needs to be checked. But when you hear me, or you follow me, you see a man who has a mental problem, or a man who has mental alertness that is beyond human understanding.
We need to check to confirm the matter.
There is no madman who has ever been consistent. I've been consistent through the struggles, and today people are singing the song I used to sing. And they are now saying homosexuals. But I'm telling them, I've been handling them. You don't need to be over alarmed. I have the solution because I know what to do. I've handled very many cases and they've recovered. I've been able to rehabilitate many, but I've paid a high price. And I wonder the hypocrisy of Ugandans. Now everybody is saying we are fighting homosexuality. There are now even platforms being formed fighting homosexuality. But who is fighting homosexuality? Are they credible? Do they know what to do? Or they've just started because they want to earn money. I started the cause without expectations. I've gone through a lot. I've been persecuted. I've gone through courts of law. I've been a convict for a crime I've never committed. Just because I stood up against Pastor Kayanja when he sodomized boys who came to us, reported to him, referred them to police. Police betrayed us, arrested them at gunpoint.
Use the word allegedly sodomized.
No, not allegedly.
Hey.
He sodomized them.
You saw him. I don't know.
But the evidence we had, the medical evidence, the circumstantial evidence, the testimonies, then they arrested the boys, compelled them to change statements. I remember the cartel comprising Edward Ocho, who used to be the director of CID. Then Grace Akulo, who became the next director of CID. I told Grace Akulo, you're a mother. You one day look me up when your son has been sodomized your daughter. We have this man, Gilbert Adinaito Bwana, who tear-gassed the commando, who tear-gassed retired Colonel Dr. Kigabe. Gunman, putting victims at gunpoint to change statements and then disown us, and then say that we actually promise them money and taking them abroad, money, and then eventually they come to court and deceive. When they had given evidence, some recorded videos and sent them to me, apologizing even to the First Lady Janet Museveni, to His Excellency, to Bahati, to the court, and to me, and to my colleagues, that the truth is that Pastor Kayanja sodomized us. Painfully. I have the videos.
You will give them to me.
I have the videos. You come. Not here because I didn't move with my laptop, but I have them.
I know.
When the boys are confessing, Pastor Robert Kayanja sodomized them, and I'm the only person on earth who can say with all authority that Pastor Kayanja sodomized the boys. He said on his channel 44, and stupidly, that when the sodomy row broke out, then His Excellency Museveni called him and said, don't worry, let me see how to save you. A foolish man says that His Excellency saved him, and then you people believe he's a pastor. Hey, a pastor deals in wines, a pastor, sodomy, now a pastor, fake drugs, tick off, and you still call him a pastor. And every time he's arrested, I'm going to sue, I'm going to take you on, because he has the guns. Now, can a pastor have guns and then you believe that he's a pastor? These are criminals, masquerading men and women of God. It's you who trust them. Now, we paid a high price for that. And I'm telling you, my friends, viewers, listeners, if only at that point in time, all Uganda had rallied behind us, we would have arrested the situation. But what happened? Pastors turned against us. They betrayed us. They know fellow pastors are sodomizing. They disowned Malay. There are clips where the whole press conferences disowning Malay. Malay is the problem, not the sodomizers. And then, you know, government wants numbers. What are they saying? Pastor Kanye is not a sodomite. Okay, let's go with that group and let us leave Malay to suffer. But then later on, that was on the you remember when Pastor Chiwewe was on spot on, and then this boy David Adinaito was arrested by police, betrayed by police, taken to Luzira. He survived. He narrowly survived poison. We got him out with Pastor Semba. This boy narrated the story unaudibly. You remember the media asking Chiwewe, did you sodomize? Is it true? And he said, not now, not now. But I'd already blown it up. He had even sodomized his fellow colleague's son. Now, when it comes to homosexuality, schools are just at the receiving end. Schools are at the receiving end. The greater perpetrators are in our homes, in our churches, in our communities. Now there is a challenge. You know Uganda National Teachers Union. It is a bedfellow with Education International, which is promoting homosexuality in schools, amongst teachers and students. In 2017, I wrote to Kwehe, who was then the board member of Education International representing Uganda. And I told him, choose between Education International and UNATU, Uganda National Teachers Union. As I pushed, I also sent a letter to the Minister of Education. Before I knew, Tweheo James was sacked out of UNATU, a special position created for him, I think in the State House, to fight allegedly corruption. And I said, fine. He never paid for his sins. UNATU is now a member of Education International. As we fight homosexuality, has UNATU withdrawn from Education International? No. UNATU is also in a bedfellow with NASU. It's from England. They always come here and conduct seminars.
What does NASU do?
Promoting homosexuality in schools amongst teachers and students. It's a partner with UNATU. You can research. Our schools, what is
Pastor Man, don't lie.
What is the sixth commandment? Thou shalt not lie.
Yes.
I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth.
Are you serious?
Why should I lie?
Look in this camera straight and say this is the truth.
Uganda National Teachers Union is a bedfellow with Education International and NASU of England. Both organizations promote homosexuality in schools amongst teachers and students. And they are fighting against discrimination of homosexuals worldwide. Even in one of their dossiers, one of their booklets, they said, we are going to fight countries like Uganda, which have laws that target homosexuals. It has. I have a copy. I have everything. Yes. Now, look at this. Government of Uganda has been led to surrender. You know Mulago National Referral Hospital?
No,
There's a clinic called MAP, Most at Risk People's Initiatives. Yes. That clinic is specifically for homosexuals. In 2017, they were apportioned 3 billion of Uganda's budget to buy the lubricants, the oils and so on and so forth, to do their thing well. Following year, we put them on the spot.
About lubricants, I remember the lubricants we put in the cars.
Sexual lubricants for the anus. 2018, I think 2018, 2019, we put them on the spot. And then the chairman of the network that caters for the gay community in Uganda spoke out and said, please go slow. Because the Minister Sarah Opendi had come out, why do we give homosexuals money? And then this gentleman said, Sarah Opendi does not know that if we don't give homosexuals money, they won't give us aid. And this time, they gave them a package of 28 billion shillings in the budget to buy lubricants and so on and so forth. Of Uganda. Now, MAPI is in Mulago, 8 support organization has also surrendered.
Are you serious?
Yes. They have a special clinic for homosexuals, just like MAPI, Mulago. Now, if you are saying, what should we do? As government slowly gives in, they are not telling us the truth. They are not being honest. That look, we are surviving on homo money. Our government is surviving on homo money.
Now you're talking about government.
Government.
So apart from the institutions that have given up, the government has also given in.
Government has given in. Government wants money to run.
But then I remember that government refused it.
You see, we need to have people who can critique, who can analyze, who can be the eyes, who can be the censors, so that people know the truth and be free.
What I mean is the president refused actually to accept a law that was recognizing same-sex marriage.
He has been against verbally. You see, you people don't know what hypocrisy means. You speak to the gallery. What do people want to hear? Tell them that if you vote me, I'll build you roads. So you vote him, he forgets you. He comes back 5 years later, I'll build you roads. He promises roads 10 times. How can we have a budget specifically for homosexuals to buy for them lubricants when our country has said no to homosexuality, when the legal mechanism is against homosexuality, when homosexuality is an illegality, yet if it's an illegality, we buy for them lubricants to do it well and better, to minimize the hurts. Do we have sense? Are we sober? Do we understand? So actually, government is not being open when it comes to homosexuality. Our MPs are not being open when it comes to homosexuality. They know the truth. Or of course, there are some who sleep in parliament, who don't even bother to read. They are not informed that we have laws. President Museveni in 2007 assented to a law, an amendment to the Penal Code, Section 129, which criminalized penetrating the mouth, penetrating the anus, penetrating the vagina with an object or a penis or a stick or whatever in an unnatural way. So it covers both children, it covers all children when it comes to sexual abuse cases. Whether it is heterosexual or homosexual, it covers them. And the maximum sentence in that law is death. But why is it that still people go in and they go for the children when there is even a death sentence with regard to the children? It's because of the activism that is going on. It is the right, it is the right, it is the right, and so on and so forth. The homos tell us in their activism that homosexuality is a natural phenomenon. Now, there is a misconception. There is no proof that homosexuality is a natural phenomenon. There is what we call the identical twin studies. It concluded that had it been that homosexuality is a genetic problem, then if one identical twin indulged in homosexuality, even the other would. I've handled a case where one girl was sodomized. The sister was never. They were two identical. The young woman was in homosexuality, but the other sister was not heterosexual, straight. Which means there is no evidence that homosexuality is a gene-caused phenomenon. 2, our priests, pastors, the Malokole, and so on and so forth, they deceive followers that homosexuality is a demon, demon-driven. If you submit and agree that it's a demon, then you must agree that whoever is possessed has no problem. Do we send away people who are possessed, or we help them? Do we cast them out, or we help them? Can you send someone away who is demon possessed? You cannot. That is a teaching that now encourages acceptance. Let us accept them as they are, because they are demon possessed and they have no control over them. Now, if it's a demon, why did God destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? We need to stop demonizing homosexuality and call it a habit, because it's a habit, it's land. It's not a demon.
So number one, the solution is we need to stop demonizing it.
It's not a demon.
We simply say this is a bad habit, stop it.
Yes.
Okay. Number
2, it is not genetic. If you accept that it is genetic, then you have no solution for the one doing it. I've handled cases where those who were indulging have reverted to normal sex life. Normal sex life. There are many who have indulged in homosexuality in schools, they've gone through college, and they've married, produced even children. They've outlived it because they were cancelled. Paul Kagame is a case. And there are many others. Kagame has children. Who? Paul Kagame.
The president of Rwanda.
Not Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame. You remember Paul Kagame, the first boy who came out and exposed Father Museveni. Yes. Yeah, we've had all those.
So you've been following him now, he's married.
He's married with children. Yes, I've been supporting him.
So it's not genetic.
Homosexuality is not genetic. Once you accept that it is genetic, then it means you send these people down the drain of homosexuality. Because if it is a genetic, can you change someone's genetics? You cannot, it's natural. Once you naturalize it, then you offer no solution.
Okay. Do you have any other solution?
Now,
As you wonder.
we need to ask a question. Why do people join homosexuality? Why do people indulge? If you understand why people indulge, then you have the solution. There are many reasons.
They're looking for money.
There are many reasons. I'll just simply, this is a long session. Now, factors causing indulgence. 1, family instabilities and brutalities of parents to their children of the opposite sex. There are so many women who have brutalized male children, and male children have hated the female sex. And there are so many men who have brutalized the female children, and the female children have hated men. And they've ended up settling for same sex.
Family instabilities.
family instabilities.
Okay.
2, marital wars of parents,
Marital
causing
wars.
children to hate heterosexual marital relationship. I handled a case where a father abused the mother, sold even the land, and they threw the mother out with the children. When that happened, the eldest daughter who was in Chambo University told the mother, I'll never get married to a man. I cannot dare go through what, mom, you've gone through. There are so many women like that. 3, disappointments in heterosexual relationships, causing brokenheartedness. That is why early indulgence in heterosexual relations is discouraged. Many times, children start sex at an early age. A girl gets a boyfriend at 13. At 14, she has another. At 15, she has 4. At 18, she has, by 20, she's broken-hearted. Too broken that she doesn't want to see any man again. When a fellow female comes in, they consult each other, comfort each other, they reminisce together. Eventually what works out is that heat, and then eventually sexual attraction and appeasing. Homosexuality, lesbian sexual activity. Similar to the boys. Social pressure, which is peer pressure. Social pressure, this is where one person engages in a group where he has no say and control and works by the dictates of the group. This is the main cause of indulgence in schools. Let me tell you, economic pressure is part of the problem. You remember Ganafa?
Now you're...
Ganafa of it's called Spectrum, Uganda. This is part of the SMAC.
But now you're revealing what we discussed next Friday. Why do people drink homosexuality?
Okay, wait. This man was giving a lot of money. And all the youth you see are going in for money. Yet they are deceived. They are never given that money. Because I've handled boys who have come out and they are as poor as church mouses. And you ask them, where is the money that was promised? They promise, they don't give. It is just a slang that the homosexuals have money. Let me tell you, those who don't want homosexuality have money, but they are so miser. Those who engage and want it don't have money. But right now what they have, what they call Nayana Kalama, if one has 1,000, he contributes it. One has 50,000, contributes it. Who can contribute 1 million, contributes it to a cause. They exist as a cause. We who don't want it cannot join the cause. We all want to live individually, then we say, but at the forefront has no money.
Thank you so
That's
much.
why we are failing.
Thank
If
you
we
so
are going to do that, then we need to team up.
I strongly want to come on record by saying the LGBT community is one of the most funded communities in the world. I left because of my long story, just to cut it short, because of the unfortunate happenings that
The
happened.
repercussions you face
Yes.
out of that activity.
Yes, so I quit. And I did not only quit, but I chose to help other young children, other young boys, other young girls out there, so that they may not fall victim of the circumstances that I went through. Yeah. So I would answer directly your question that I am no longer gay.
You were once one.
I
You're no
was
longer one.
once a gay man.
What are some of
and
those
I'm no longer.
difficult situations?
The disadvantages of one joining that LGBT community. One of it is the spiritual aspect. 2, you never leave surgery. You never leave the theaters where surgery is being done on your anal system. They can lie to you that being gay is okay, but of course it's not okay because it comes along with so many disadvantages, only that the members within the LGBT community never come out to share these things. And I can give you some homework. You can go to the Ministry of Health and try to get statistics of how many LGBT people in Uganda are HIV positive. There is nothing. There is no record. There is no data. Why? The LGBT community runs their own private clinics. that
Yeah.
of course I've already petitioned government on. I've filed several complaints, citizen complaints forms with government through the Ministry of Internal Affairs under the NGO Bureau that is mandated on regulating NGOs. Of course, they register themselves as NGOs and they operate. Now, these clinics treat LGBT people in Uganda, and then the data that is collected is kept with them and never shared with government. So that is why they lie to boys that anal sex is the safest sex. But I want to assure you, 95% of the LGBT people are HIV positive.
95%.
If we collected 100 in this room, 95 of them would be HIV positive. And that is why their data is never shared with government. And why it is never shared with government, because the other theology they keep lying to children or youth with, that anal sex is the safest sex, must go on. Now when you start contradicting that anal sex is safe by giving statistics of how many LGBT people are HIV positive, of course that will contra.
So, Mr. Hensha, can you mention some of the clinics that this LGBTQ run?
Yes, at Acacia Mall, there's an LGBT clinic known as ARC Wellness. ARC Wellness Hub.
ARC Wellness Hub.
Yes. Even when you go on their Twitter handle, it is just there that it's a dedicated LGBT clinic. It's there, even when you go to their Twitter handle.
Another one?
2 IBU, it's called Icebreakers.
IBU.
Yes, Icebreakers.
Where is that one?
It's on Salama Road.
Salama Road.
Yes. Then there is Mapi in Mulago.
Mapi.
Yes.
Pastor
that is,
Solomon had even mentioned it.
Yeah, it's that one is known. The rest I'm telling you about are new clinics. Because the other one was the first that was established, and now they've seen that it works. So they've created other centers, so that they don't have one center. But then what bothers me is the statistics that they have is never shared. Even when you go for treatment, a doctor will never write.
Hey.
Yeah, what are you suffering from? This and this and this. If you need surgery, you will be recommended, and there is nowhere the doctor writes. Why? Because they do not want to keep that data. Just in case police tries to come in and raid and probably take any piece of information, that's what they do. There is a category under the LGBT community that is so confusing, and that's called the bisexual. Remember, a bisexual is a man or a woman that has desire or sexual desire for the same sexes. I mean, they will date a woman at the same time they date a man. They would have sexual intercourse with a man and a woman. And many of them are confusing, and I'm sure so many people debate about that. I know of some politicians, and then some people in the church, and then some celebrities, that many people would even put their hand, for their hand to be cut off, arguing that these people are not gay. Because why they normally see them hang out with women.
Do you know some of these celebrities?
Yes, but for purposes of my security and blah blah, I would.
So, Mr.
refrain
Elsa, we have some celebrities in Uganda who are gay community members.
Yes, they are. Many of them.
Hey.
Yes.
Ah.
Okay, I would, without hesitation, I would point out like Fig Fameka, and then there's Alan Tony, I've seen Brunette Official, and so many others.
You see it?
I'm telling you, they even in women, Azawi, you've seen Keko, you've seen Shiba. I personally stayed cool with Shiba. When Shiba was still renting in Makinde Chizone, that was way back 2014, when I just joined the LGBT community. A friend of mine connected me to her because they were so close, so we used to hang out together. So I know every story about her.
Yeah, Shiba.
Yeah. And she is a bisexual. She has a relationship with men at the same time with fellow women. And this is the most confusing category of people, bisexual men or women. And that is how you can never come up with a statistic, because you can't know who is dead. Me having a woman does not mean I'm not gay. I know of a senior pastor here who I'm going to refrain myself from mentioning their name, but he's highly involved in homosexuality. This pastor, this because I keep having endless calls.
He's a gunman.
From security operatives.
Threatening you.
you're calling me, I'm calling from ISO, SFC, I'm calling from CMI, I'm calling from where, claiming, wanting to meet me, but of course I've rejected their invitation. So that's why I'm refraining myself.
Yeah.
Because why I'm refraining and I'm giving that reason is because the LGBT community is a government.
Are you
of its
sure?
own. Yes, I'm telling
A
you.
government.
It is run by leaders with connections, with money. So what is a government?
With guns.
Everything. Of course, they have connection in security. They can make a call and they're covered up and everything. So,
So
it's
are
a
you worried
government.
of your safety?
Yes, and that is why I told you. I wrote a cheat to you and
Yeah,
told
I
you
see.
I am under the Witness Protection Unit because of the criminal cases I brought against the directors of that NGO that was shut down,
Smart.
known for recruiting children, and
You're
because
talking
of
about
the-
smart?
Yes,
Mm.
I'm talking about sexual minorities, Uganda. Yes,
Smart.
yes. Do not expect that presiding government to treat you with nice silver
Kid gloves.
hands when you're coming out to spill secrets that you yourself got involved with while you were still a minister, and that applies with the LGBT community. Once they know that you've been with them,
And you want to leave?
and now you leave. Now, for example, when I first quit out, one of the activists, the LGBT activist, Dr. Stella Nyanzi, you can even go to her Twitter page.
Mm.
She hosted a Twitter space saying, an ex-gay Ugandan has become a threat to the LGBT community in Uganda, leading police officers to raid safe shelters, people who identify themselves as homosexual, blah, blah, blah. Join this space to discuss how do we handle this ex-gay. And when you listen to the recording, because it's still there, it had, I think, 1 million participants. When you listen to it, because it was something that was global, and by that time, they had just shut down
The space.
SMART. So one of the things they were saying, people were saying we should bring up criminal cases against him. Some were saying...
So are you confirming that Stella Nyanzi also is a...
appropriate. Why? People have different benefits. Many want to go to the US, want to go to Canada, and they want free visa, free ticket, free sponsorship, and others just want money. So Dr. Stella Nyanzi could be among the many that want money or want that luxury life
For
being paid and visa.
all she did,
So I cannot
she never
confirm.
needed a visa. She never needed money.
Miss something that takes me to the theater, where all the time I have to go through surgery, and after surgery you are advised not to eat for almost a month. Why? For those stitches.
yes.
So that
Not to eat for
remember when you eat hard food and yet you're already you've gone through
Yeah.
surgery, that part has not yet healed. Now when you go to the toilet for that
Yeah.
whatever purpose it is,
Yes.
that thing, the anus opens up.
Yes.
And that
Then
force
it
and
will
whatever.
pain you.
So you will still go back for more surgeries and more surgeries. So why would I miss something that takes me back to the surgery over and over?
How
And
long were you in that
I was there more than 7 years.
7 years?
With them.
Who recruited you, Mr. Yusuf?
It was a fellow student who was an agent in school and had not only recruited me but so many boys.
Which school was that?
For purposes of confidentiality, I will refrain myself from mentioning the school.
Can you mention the name of that person who recruited you?
Yes, he's there.
What's his name?
No, he was a student back then, so.
Yeah, what is his name now? That you
No,
went to school.
no. Why I'm refraining is because we have already criminal matters in court. Even today, as I speak, we were in court.
Where do you appear in court? Which court?
City Hall Court.
City Hall Court.
Yes.
When is your next appearance? Or your after
I think 17th, next Friday. So whoever wants to participate, remember court is a public space. Otherwise, guided by the
17th of Feb.
17th of Feb. That
What
is
time?
next week on Friday.
What?
9.
9 a.m.
Yes.
Okay, we shall cover this story.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Unless there is something maybe I left out.
Yes, you've left out something small. While in our meeting with the PA to the president, and then there's another presidential advisor known as Elizabeth Kutesa, the former AIGP. We also had another meeting with her because the president had assigned her to make an investigation. One of the things I submitted to them was, can we have a center where people that have left the LGBT community
Yes.
can run to
Yes.
get rehabilitated
Yes.
and then be reintegrated back to community
Rehabilitation
as
center.
reformed. Because apparently, as we speak, there is no rehabilitation center that handles LGBT. If 5, 10 boys starting would come out, where would they go?
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the reasons why these people fear to surrender.
Surrender.
Because now they are imagining, I have been getting 500,000, 200,000, and now I am leaving a community that has been giving me free money, going to a community where I'm not going to get anything. Do we have a rehabilitation center where these boys or these girls can be collected, rehabilitated, and be reintegrated back to society? That is something I suggested. Number 2, I did not only come out, but I petitioned government. I've had several meetings with ministers. I have several letters from government agencies issuing letters. We had the story, can you come and explain? Minister so-and, Ministry Ethics, Ministry of Children, Ministry of
Gender.
No, that is children, gender, labor and social development, then the ethics ministry, and then Ministry of Education has also summoned me. Of late, even Parliament summoned me before the Parliamentary Committee of Education, and I have brought this to their attention. What is government doing to address this? Somebody would be a propagandist if they only came out and said, I have come out, and then they did not take any kind of action, only coming out and saying, I was, and it stops at that. No, I have gone an extra mile, petitioned government, although we all know how our government operates, the bureaucracy in government institutions. Just, for example, the DPP. When we brought up criminal cases against the directors of sexual minorities Uganda, so many times in court, they've not been turning up. Every time we come, your lordship, your worship, blah, blah, the accused persons are not in court, they traveled for treatment, blah, blah. There's no medical document being presented, and I expect that a representative of the DPP to object. But then in this case, the representative does not say anything, does not object, and is just quiet. And that is giving a very good, clear picture of the kind of bureaucracy I'm talking about in government institutions, where there's a matter that you should give priority, and then somebody is like this. And I can confirm to you that I've met the director 2 times. Justice Ambodo. Yes, I even have her letters signed by her, not by anybody, but signed by her. Giving instructions, do this and this, and it stops at just a letter. Someone issuing a letter and said, do this, and it stopped like
nothing is done.
I can confirm to you that we had 5 meetings. I have the letters here, I can show you. 5 meetings with the Minister for Children. And while in the meeting, we had the IGP, Okoth Ochola, we had the Director, NGO Bureau, we had Justice Ambodo. The letter entails how many people should come for that meeting. And while in this meeting, the minister would get calls from the brother to the president. Like I said, the LGBT community.
Which brother now?
I'm not going to mention, but I've told you the brother. While in these meetings, the minister would get calls. I can confirm because this happened, and people were saying. The minister would get calls from the brother to the president, instructing her to withdraw and stop that matter. Telling her, can you go slow
On that matter?
On that matter. Like I said, these people have connections. Now, you could find Frank Mugisha, the director, has a connection to Andrew Mwenda, and then Andrew Mwenda is a friend to somebody from the first family. Then you call and say influence, and call the minister and say stop. Of course, with all the 5.
In other words, what you're saying in brief is that the gay community in Uganda even have capacity to influence the courts.
And go to Frank Mugisha's Twitter page. You will see a picture that he has lately posted with the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Robert Mao.
Who is Frank Mugisha now?
Frank Mugisha is the director of that organization that was shut down for years.
Hey.
Now, of late, when he returned back for his court cases that were today, he posted a picture where he was at the ministry headquarters with Robert Mount. So that gives you a clear picture that, remember, Robert Mount
Psychologically, he's working on you.
is
That
the
there's
Minister
nothing
for
you can do.
Constitutional Affairs, where the judiciary lies under. So he has the power to call the magistrate and influence. Just like today, the matter was adjourned, nothing like hearing for a full year. We've been in court, the matter has never came. The other people have funds more than the people that are against them. And remember, that is the very money they use to influence. Now, you're fighting against them and you do not have funds. So I would conclude by saying the anti-sodomist group or community, or the anti-LGBT community, should somewhere, somehow be supported by government to push on this agenda. Otherwise, if no funds, you cannot do anything. You can't tell me I can move from here to a school and sensitize them on foot without a bottle of water.
Yet there are people you are
Yet I need
sensitizing
energy
they have money.
to speak.
Thank you so much. I get your point. Give him a round of applause.
Powerful politicians and leaders of churches that are affiliated with homos should be identified and isolated. Isolated. I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, as Pan-Africanists, this is the time Africans should define the way of worshiping. We had our way of worshiping. Why should we follow this Christianity of which we don't know even the roots? Now you can see.
Whose root we don't understand.
We don't understand. The Pope I was watching, the Pope has already
Free your mind now.
Canterbury, where all of you belong. He is regulating this. So I think, Mr. Chairman, when some people come out and say we used to worship the Bachois, what's wrong with the Bachois so long as they are giving us peace? If they are peace brokers and peace makers, what's wrong with that? Why should I be affiliated with a certain religion whose roots are not known? Don't you think now, as Pan-Africanists, as activists, should guide Africans and say, please, can we leave these churches and have our own churches, the way how we used to belong? You think by then there was no God? Actually, I want to see this kind of activism in Parliament. I want to see people identifying and naming powerful politicians whom we call pigs, who are eating, or fools, who are eating this money, the so-called money for homos. Published. Let us have a binding law. Let the head of state take charge on this matter. The head of state should come out and take charge on this, prevail on this matter.
One of the reasons why there's a border between these two countries is gayism, sodomy.
So one of the reasons.
It's one of the reasons why we have to fight these people. Because they encourage a man having sex with a fellow man. So when you say this, a man, there are cases of sodomy in South Sudan. I would very much agree with my brother, we don't have them. But we are not saying they will not come, they will come, but for now they are not there. Discussing LGBT community, what I would say is, our work, we come here to learn, to listen and learn. And me, I've come, I've listened and I've learned. What I've seen is, like one of the victims said, the LGBT community is a government. So when you put it into context, it's the war between government and government. It's a war between the
There is a government within a government.
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder myself, I usually get a quote where a man says, I wonder how the spirits of Africans being stroke people went. Whereby a white man can tell you that marrying a fellow woman is good, but having 4 wives is a crime. Okuwasa abakazi abana kibi, naye okuwasa musajja munno kirungi nnyo, if I can put it like that. The strong great-grandfathers, they never practiced this, and that's why we are here today. So, if you don't realize that this thing, if you allow it today, it will affect your children. They are not targeting you. They are targeting the young children that will come after you. Now put it in your picture. When you're young, when your daughter comes, you've already graduated and tells you, you know what, Papa? Nafunyo mchara. And then when you see that young boy of yours comes with a fellow man, would you feel happy? Now, before you allow to get this money, think about your children that will come after you. Lowooza ku baana bo gwe b'ogenda okuzaala nga tonnayagala kukwata ssente ze bagenda kuwa. Kubanga kujja kweyagala, but your lineage will be stopped somewhere. You won't have someone to remember you that you have a great-grandfather somewhere, because a man and a man can never produce. I quote the late president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, a great statesman, when he once quoted and said, if you want my country to accept that kind of thing to happen, allow me to bring one gay man and another gay man. I cross them inside one room. If they produce, I will allow it. It means the generation is sinking. Leave alone what we may say that behaviors, blah, blah, but the generation is sinking. So look very far, don't look here. And as I wind up, I work with NGO World, that's a fact. Because I serve as the outreach director of Why Not Uganda, I serve as the programs manager within Willie Foundation. I've been a youth leader down in the villages. I'm going to be the Secretary General of Youth within Nansana Municipality and Buganda region. I've been with the National Chairman of Youth. I know all the how everything moves. But don't be fooled, because a fool is the one who allows to be fooled. So you mature. Mulowooza muli bantu bakulu, akize mu Luganda, muli bantu bakulu, mutegeera temuli baana bato. Bwe muba muli bantu bakulu nga mutegeera, think very well. Muli abantu bakulu emyaka mwine mingi. Think as old people. Don't think as children. Think for the future to come after you.
They believe that Westernization is a form of civilization. So they think that everything that comes from the West should be adopted by us Africans. That also comes in as a form of propaganda used by the media and other forms. In the late 20th century, some of the, let me call them the intellectuals in the United States of America, were worried about the population explosion of the world. They saw that the world's population was growing at the fastest rate, and since for them they are selfish, they were not happy with that. They formulated means to regulate the population, and they developed a program which was called the Zero Population Growth, ZPG. That was in the late 20th century. Under that program, it was to operate in the United States and some other colonies. But later on, they realized that it won't be good to eliminate fellow whites. They said, let's extend it to other countries. We see, like in the year between 1975 to 1977, over 11 million Indians, women, they were sterilized. 11 million. Under their program of Zero Population Growth, they were sterilized using vaccines and other forms from research. That means this Zero Population Growth program has come up with other programs under it. Among those programs, you have vaccines. You people have not seen this, you have not realized this.
Omnani komoti